All right, guys. So AOC is finally kind of speaking out about what's going on in Afghanistan, right? And unsurprisingly, instead of focusing on the Americans that are still trapped in Afghanistan, or criticizing Biden for screwing up the withdrawal, AOC instead wants to focus on refugees, as she went and did an interview with The Independent in which she basically called for the U.S. to take, at minimum, rock bottom, 200,000 people, right? 200,000 Afghan refugees, right? Or whatever is necessary, okay? Whatever's necessary. She does not have a cap on how many people she thinks we should let in this country. And she went on Joy Reid's pathetic show to double down on this idea that we need to take as many people as possible. Take a look.
But we're also still trying to get as many people out as possible.
Yes.
Talk about raising the cap. How can it be done? Why should it be done?
Yeah, well, to speak to today's attack, what happened is just an absolute and utter travesty. And these Marines that have passed away, 13 now, and as well as 60 Afghans that died in these explosions. This is the human cost of war. And this is what makes war immoral. And when it comes to the devastation that we have seen in Afghanistan, the United States plays a role. We have a responsibility. And in order to carry out and in order to make good on the role that we have played in this violence, we have a responsibility to make a home for the people whose lives have been upended by interventionist U.S. foreign policy. Yeah. And so as a result, I'm proud to have co-led a letter with Representative Barbara Lee to ask and urge the Biden administration to, as they set their refugee quotas, to make it no less than 200,000 in the upcoming year.
Guys, I gotta tell you, I find it mighty strange how AOC, whom believes that this country is systemically racist, right? And systemically sexist as well, right? She believes the country is systemically racist and systemically sexist. Why is it that she's so gung-ho about these Afghan people coming here, right? Why is she so gung-ho about it, right? I really don't understand. Because she doesn't seem as concerned about the Americans that are trapped in Afghanistan and can't get out. She's not that concerned about that. She's also not concerned about the fact that Biden screwed up this position where we have to even consider this, okay? People want to get on Trump, right, because he lowered the cap, right? He lowered the refugee cap to like 15,000 or something like that, right? People want to get on him because of that. But at the end of the day, man, look, I actually kind of understand why he did it. He did it because he's like, listen, we just can't be letting thousands and thousands of people into our country from these foreign countries that don't share the same culture and values that we do, right? At the very least, without extreme vetting, right? Trump understood that. Look, guys, I'm going to tell you something. Foreign policy is not rainbows and roses. It's just not. Okay, this is the same way I feel about immigration. Look, in the ideal world, if I knew that all these people were law-abiding citizens, I'm not saying most of them aren't. Most of them probably are, right? That, love American values, that want to be in this country, that are going to be contributors to our society. Look, if I knew that for certain, okay, if I was omnipotent, okay, if I knew everything, then sure, right? Sure. But the fact is, we don't, which is why extreme vetting is required. And you notice how AOC doesn't say anything about that. And that's what frustrates me about progressives. Everything they vouch for is so emotional, right? It's based off emotion. It's not based off how the world actually works, right? And I told you guys, I'm an advocate of helping out the people that helped us, right? You have to help out your allies, okay? You have to do that, right? But at the same time, we have to be smart about how we do it. These people have to be vetted extremely. And not only that, some of these other countries need to be taking these refugees as well, right? Some of these other countries that invaded with us, like Britain, okay? I think Canada was a part of it. Maybe they got to take them as well, right? Pakistan, whom low-key supports the Taliban, they got to take some people as well, right? Speaking of countries and taking refugees, Right now, it is estimated that between 75,000 and 100,000 Afghans are eligible for resettlement in the United States under the special immigrant visa program. Okay, that's the estimate. Now, again, depending on where you go, depending on what sources you read, some people are saying it could be more. And the SIV program, that's the program that, the interpreters would fall under, right? In terms of getting a visa to stay in the United States, right? Now, listen, man, like I said, you got to prioritize and vet regardless, right? You have to prioritize and vet. And we got to ask some of these other countries to alleviate this, okay? We got to ask some of these countries to help, right? Because they invaded as well, right? They have responsibility as well. And some of these other countries that are so-called allies, their countries culturally are just more in line with some of these Afghan refugees. But, it's funny how she's not calling on these other countries to do what they need to do, right? Because some countries are offering refugees and some are just like, nah, we just going to reinforce our borders, right? So you got Iran, they're setting up emergency tents, but they're urging repatriation if and when safe, right? So they're like, we'll put y'all in tents, but, y'all got to go back eventually. Pakistan is going to keep their refugees close to the border, right? So they're not really letting them in. Now, to be fair to Pakistan, they have taken a lot of refugees over the years in a program I believe that is done with the UN. Okay, but I think they've kind of closed up or limited the refugees as of recently. But I mean, I'm one of these people that's of the opinion that Pakistan should have an open borders policy with Afghanistan, considering how, again, they're the ones that are low-key supporting the Taliban, right? So they need to take all the Afghan refugees they can get. We need to be calling on Pakistan to do more. They need to have an open borders policy as far as I'm concerned, especially if they want to call themselves an ally of the United States. Turkey, they just straight up building a wall, right? They're just like, we'll help stabilize Afghanistan with Pakistan, but we putting up a wall, right? We putting up a wall. We not letting people in here. United Kingdom, they're welcoming 20,000 people over several years. 20,000, not 200,000, 20,000, right? Canada is going to resettle 20,000, and they're going to prioritize minorities, including LGBTQ Afghans. So only 20,000 for Canada. You should be asking them to take more. Why can't they take more? Okay? Australia says they have no plans on Afghan refugees. Let's read this. Australia said on Wednesday it had no plans to allow tens of thousands of Afghan refugees fleeing the Taliban, citing security reasons. Prime Minister Scott Morrison said Australia, which is notorious for its hardline offshore refugee policy, would instead provide Afghans with at least 3,000 visas over the year. I note that some are talking about figures of 20,000, but I can tell you there are no clear plans about that. Australia is not going to that territory, Morrison told a news conference. Again, these guys are like, listen, bruh, we can't do it. Security reasons. Again, it's foreign policy, immigration policy. You got to throw the whole, like, humanitarian thing out the window, guys. That's not how it works in the real world. I'm sorry. It just don't. Switzerland says, I'm not saying we shouldn't accept some. What I'm saying is that we definitely should accept those who helped us out, women and children, do as much as we can, but that has to be a cap. We just can't let everybody, right? We just can't be saying as many as necessary, right? There's nuance. All those people that we do accept need to be vetted, but that's not what AOC is talking about. Switzerland says they refuse to accept large groups. They're just like, nah, we're not doing it. Okay? You got to apply for asylum, right? On a case-by-case basis. If Trump says that, they would say that's inhumane. Austria is refusing, right? And yeah, so all these other countries, they're putting their security concerns first. Or at the very least, they're not taking hundreds of thousands of these people. What needs to happen is we need to push a lot of these people to be resettled in Qatar, and some of these other Muslim countries like Saudi Arabia that claim to be allies with us. Hey, look, y'all got to take one for the team. Listen, these people, some of them want to be Americans. That's fine. We'll take what we can, right? To a certain extent. But they're more closely aligned with you guys culturally. Y'all need to take some of these people, okay? We'll pay you off. We'll do what we got to do. We'll backdoor deal, whatever. But y'all got to take some of these people because they're more culturally aligned, okay? With the U.S., on the other hand, it's a whole different culture, right? And that cultural friction can create problems. That's why we have to be careful, right? And AOC always want to talk about, well, we screwed it up. We went in there. We should have been in the first place. We screwed it up. Okay, so you can criticize us for going in there and screwing it up, but you can't criticize Biden for screwing it up on the way out. And why should the American taxpayers have to pay because of what the Washington bureaucrats decided to do? We didn't decide to go into Afghanistan. We didn't decide to do that. That's what the politicians decided. Okay? So we have to now foot the bill for what the politicians did, the mistake that they made. When we have homeless vets, we have homeless Americans that we aren't even really taking care of like that. But now we got to take care of other people. Again, that's not saying they shouldn't come. Some of them. I don't know about 200,000, right? But I'm just saying, like, I have a nuanced opinion on this. My opinion is, let's just focus on vetting them first, and then we'll see how many we can take. That should be what the focus is. Yes, I'm all about being a humanitarian. I'm all about helping people. I'm all about them having a better opportunity at life. But just like immigration, right, when it comes to Mexico and the southern border, it has to be done legally and in a way that is going to protect Americans first. Period. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.